Have you ever been asked whether you're 18 plus to avail pornographic content? Of course you fucking have, you even look like a wanker. Fucking whacking his posture having, no bitches holding, man cave living fucking hobo.
Why you bully me?
Bitch. Now the moment you click on the large yes button, a thing happens. A contract is formed between you and the website where for passing a certain age threshold, you will be able to avail certain content. Is this legal? Yeah, you are the one clicking it, you daft cunt. Now for the sake of not complicating it, there are two main thingies here. Both of you have made promises, and when compiled together, they turn into an agreement, and because it has legal implications, it is now a contract. So 3 phases: promises, agreement, contract. I know these words just hit you in the face, but for the sake of visualization, think of them as balls. Imagine your balls have been friends since childhood and made a promise to grow with each other. However, as they reached adulthood, the right ball began consuming more of the good shit to grow more. The left ball was betrayed because of their agreement wasn't respected. Now, he went to the court of Puebes and pleaded. However, the Puebes laughed at his fucking face and said agreements aren't legally binding, contracts are. The left ball inquired, same shit, no? To which the holy counselor of the Puebes replied by saying, there were no legal implications when you made the promise. You nut. So what do we understand by this? We understand that every contract is an agreement, but every agreement isn't a contract, because contract inherently means that there is legally binding forces behind it. For the first season of this epic series, I will only be covering sections 1 to 75, which are the general exceptions. Now don't go expecting something fancy, because number 1, I don't have the energy for that, and number 2, stay within your league. Your basics aren't even clear. Now when I was starting to read a Bear Act, you have to know when it came into force. Now the Indian Contract Act came out on the 1st of September 1872. However, there is an easy way to remember this, which is why you're watching this video. Just think of it this way. 1 biddies. 1 biddies. 72. Repeat with me. 1 biddy. 1 biddy. 72. Now that you have this goofy way of remembering it, I'm certain you will never fuck up when you think about it. First section, don't worry about it, just speaks about the title. Section 2, given the fact that you will be using contract-based terminology, this basically clears your concept of what word means what and how words are meant to be interpreted in the context of Indian Contract Act. Now in this class, what you really have to remember is the subclause H. H speaks about what is a contract. Now, a really easy way to remember this is H is equals to hentai. H is equals to contract. So hentai is equals to contract. Repeat with me. H is equals to C. Hentai is equals to contract. Hentai, contract. Now we'll jump straight to section 10. Well, you will be like, yo, why the fuck are we skipping section 3 to 9? Well, because they speak about communication of a contract. Section 10 speaks about what agreements are contracts. And as you may recall, hentai is equals to contract, and section 10 speaks about what agreements are contracts. It basically gives you a set of criteria you have to fulfill in order to identify what is and isn't a contract. Point being that whenever you're reading section 2H, try to read section 10 alongside it. Now the 5 criteria listed in section 10 are the following. Number 1, there should be free consent of the parties. Number 2, the parties should be competent to contract. Number 3, there should be lawful consideration involved in the contract. Number 4, there should be lawful object involved in the contract. And number 5, it shouldn't be hereby expressly declared to be void. Now let's move on to section 3 to 9, which speak on the communication, acceptance and revocation of proposals. Remember, these aren't agreements, these aren't contracts, but proposals. It's still not in the phase of even becoming a promise yet. Now in order to better understand these sections, we first have to understand what section 2A is speaking about. 2A essentially defines proposal. Now to remember this, we'll do the same trick we did with hentai. Hentai is equals to contract. Now A is equals to proposal. A is ass. Ass is equals to proposal. Easy enough? Should be. Now 2A basically says that when you show your willingness to do something or not to do something and need the thoughtful consideration of another, it is said to be a proposal. And now moving on to section 3. Section 3 basically says that communication, acceptance and revocation of a proposal is done by an act or omission by a party who intended for it. So there are two ingredients really, an act and an intention. Now section 4 is essentially speaking about when communication is complete. The basic definition is communication is complete when it comes to knowledge for whom it's made. Pretty simple, right? Now it has two variances for acceptance and revocation. For acceptance there's one criteria. The criteria is that it's put into course of transmission to the proposer and is out of the acceptor's power. That's when we can say that the communication for the acceptance is complete. However, in the case of revocation, it is pretty similar to acceptance in the sense that the first criteria is basically the same, where the person has to put it in a course of transmission and it should be out of their reach. And the second criteria is that this person to whom it is sent, it comes to the knowledge. So in here, not only is it important for you to put it in a course of transmission without it being in your power, but it also should come to the person's knowledge. Only when these two criteria are fulfilled can we say that the revocation has been completed. Now, section 5 talks about the revocation of proposals and promises. Proposals may be revoked anytime before its acceptance, and acceptance may be revoked before the communication of the acceptance. Because in acceptance, we are assuming that the acceptance letter has already been sent, so you have to make haste and revoke it before it comes to the knowledge of the person to whom it is sent. Let's take an illustration for example. Let's say you are on a red light area, red light zone, and there are plenty of hookers around. You're a virgin, you just wanna lose it. You have been getting bullied by your friends for being a fucking virgin for so long, not that you have any chance with real women. Now you see this absolutely gorgeous babe across the station, and you are just about to approach her. You're just about to see, what's the fare around the area. You're about to give her some money, but right before you made the transaction, you get a call from your mama. You freak out. Does she know that I'm in a red light zone? Does she know I'm fucking desperate? Does she know I'm about to break tradition? No, it's something else. It was something completely different. Pick up the phone. Your hands are shaking. You're curious, yet you're anxious. You don't know what's gonna happen next, but the words which come out of your mama's mouth next shock you. However, there is a hinge of happiness alongside it. She says, the hooker looks at you with a disgruntled face. She's like, why the fuck did you take the money back? Do you not want to do it, you fucking virgin? Then there comes a cheeky smirk on your face and you say, haha, not a virgin for long, my dear. Yeah, that was a illustration of revocation of acceptance. Hope you enjoyed that. Now, section 6 is an extension of section 5 in the sense that it speaks about how proposals are revoked. If you remember, the first part of section 5 is how proposals were revoked. However, section 6 expands into 4 main criteria which you have to take into account when revoking a proposal. 1. You should communicate a notice of revocation to the proposer. Number 2. Time prescribed has lapsed or a reasonable amount of time has passed. Number 3. There has been a failure to fulfill conditions. And number 4. The death or insanity of the person proposing. Now, before reading section 7, we should read section 2b. 2b speaks of when a proposal becomes a promise, which is done through acceptance of the proposal. Section 7 basically highlights what kind of acceptance is appropriate for a proposal to become a promise. There are 2 main conditions attached. Number 1, it should be absolute and unqualified. In here, absolute means in its entirety and unqualified means that the acceptance shouldn't come with conditions attached to it. And number 2, that it should be expressed in some usual or reasonable way. And in case there's a prescribed way of communication and the acceptance hasn't been communicated in that way, after a reasonable time, the proposer may ask for it to be done in that prescribed method. And if the other party fails, the proposer just takes the acceptance. Yes, it doesn't necessarily mean that the proposer has to deny it. 8 talks about the other ways which acceptance can be done. Number 1 being that performing conditions of the proposal can be taken as an acceptance. And number 2, acceptance of any consideration of a reciprocal promise offered by the proposal. Now you may be confused as to what a reciprocal promise is. Well, say I want to buy a pack of condoms for $5 and you say nah, we have increased the prices, it's $5.50 now. That's a reciprocal promise because you're adding a condition to my proposal. Lastly, we have section 9, which says that proposals and acceptances can be done both in explicit and implied ways. Explicit ways could constitute things such as written or verbally saying something, and implied ways can constitute of things such as performing tasks or executing certain conditions which will imply that I want to accept the proposal. And that is a wrap, folks. The next part of the video, I will be covering sections 11 to 19, so look out for that. But if you think I can improve or anything, or something you would like to see exclusively be done in the next video or in the upcoming videos, just drop in a comment.
Nigga, as long as I say no homo, it's not gay, right?
Absolutely right, sir. Anime bitches, I look at her titties, then I take her home and we count up these 50s. I come to your city, I sneak in your chimney, I tickle her kidney, and then I watch Disney. I love me some hentai, I go on X videos. Bitch, I'm D-Bang, stick my dick in your Cheerios. Bitch, I'm D-Bangs, I might fuck my computer. I whip